So what is the DOM? The DOM, which stands for Document Object Model, is basically a representation of all HTML elements and attributes in what is known as a hierarchical tree structure. I'll explain more about this in a bit. And basically, each HTML element and attribute is treated as an object. And this allows you to use dot notation so that you can call methods on each of these HTML elements to access certain attributes or make certain changes. And that's when we start to get into what is called DOM manipulation. So the DOM tree of objects, which you're basically seeing here, and this image is taken from the W3 Schools website, and they're a very great resource for beginner learning and complex concepts in web development. So I encourage you guys to check that website out. Basically, this is what is meant by the hierarchical tree structure that is known as the DOM. So if you guys can see at the very top, we have what is called the document, and this is basically the object where we are able to access each of the elements in our HTML document and also the attributes for those elements. And if you notice just beneath the document level, we have what is known as the root element, which represents our pair of HTML tags. And then from there, we see that there is sort of a descent into the child elements as well as the grandchild elements. So with the understanding of the DOM tree and the hierarchical structure of the DOM, we then begin to see relationships between DOM nodes. Each part of the document object model is represented as a DOM node. So for example, again, this is taken from the W3 Schools website, we have an example of a very simple HTML document, and at the root where we have our pair of HTML tags, that is what is known as our root element, and that is what is known as our parent node. Then as we start to descend, we fall into the two child nodes, the first child being the head element, and then the last child being the body element, as you can see represented in the picture on the right. And then within each of those children, we have grandchildren relative to our parent node or HTML root element. And if you notice inside of the body element or the body tags, we've got two children. So they are each siblings relative to each other. And this is how we draw relationships between nodes in the DOM tree. This becomes useful when you are trying to find or target specific elements in the DOM relative to other elements. So you might ask why all this is important, and the reason is because interaction with the DOM tree forms an integral part of the React library as well as other JavaScript libraries and frameworks. I work with React most often, so that's why I'm typically pretty biased when it comes to React. You make very heavy use of the virtual DOM in React, and if you can understand the real DOM, which is what we're learning in this tutorial, then understanding any DOM concept will be a lot easier for you. So the document object, which was mentioned previously, basically is where we are able to make access to elements in our HTML. We can call various methods on our document object, and that allows us to manipulate certain elements or attributes as we see fit. And these are just some examples of the types of methods that we can call on the document object. When we want to add or create new elements, we have methods such as create element and append child. If we want to remove certain elements, existing elements, we have what is known as remove child, which we can also call on the document. And if we want to replace certain elements or change existing elements, we have replace child, which accepts the new element that we're looking to add, and it also accepts the old element that we're looking to remove. And then in the case of event handling, we have add event listener. This is called on an element, but in order to find that element, we do need to make use, or we do need to access the document, and it is through that document that we're able to find that element so that we can call add event listener. And add event listener accepts two arguments, which is the event that we're looking to trigger and the callback function through which we are looking to initiate an action of some kind when this event is triggered.